coming down the side of the arena. The very, very first ones had the headlights behind the grille. And it's great to see so many, shall we say, non-modern Land Rovers here in the arena. We've pretty much got an example of everything right up until the birth of Defender. And the last Defender was produced in 2016. And basically the first one produced in 1947. So it ran from 1947, being launched at the Amsterdam Motor Show, right through till 2016. So we've got that little Series 1 Land Rover right up there towards the top corner. We're just going towards the churro stall right now. And then two Land Rovers back. It is pretty old, is that one, but it's probably the newest one that we've got in the arena. And that's the Evolution. What we started with, what we ended up with. And it was a very, very sad day in 2016. And I'm a bit of a Land Rover nut myself, I'm sure you've already gathered that. And I watched the last Land Rover go through for production. Now they did blame Land Rover Defender production ceasing because of safety issues. However, I've been to the factory and I've seen them being built, and all these fancy new Land Rovers are built with 300 robots all buzzing away doing their own thing. And there's one operative looking after about 6 robots. Go over to Defender and there's about 300 people putting them together. No prizes for guessing really why Defender ceased production, because it couldn't be built. So we had a great time yesterday evening, had a bit of a buzz round to the local hostelry, and then came back and had a wonderful evening in a beer tent listening to fantastic music. If you'd like to do the same, and you want to go out and buy a tractor, go out and buy a great burger. They're loads of fun. 20 tractor, England 20 horsepower. If you've got one of these abroad, get one of those 20. Tractor, overseas, 20 horsepower. And they were made in their hundreds of thousands down at Banner Lane in Coventry, like Harry Ferguson. Harry Ferguson is a very clever man. First time building factory in Brown. A very clever man. A big manufacturer, he's done out of it now. Went back to and had a bit of being done with him as well. Stormed out of that job, came back to Northern Ireland, Northern Irish man, started building his own tractors. However, the factory was down from Coventry, Birmingham, Banner Lane.
They're not on as this tractor, and it's got something called a
What we got here?
Got a Ford Dexter, 1958. This is one that's never been on a farm.
It has led a very easy life, has it? And we can see that from the pedals. It's hardly anywhere on the pedals whatsoever. These little tractors built to compete with the likes of the Ferguson 35. Very, very able tractors. However, this one has enjoyed such an easy life, simply cutting grass. Next we've got the Alice Chalmers ED40. Started off life with Alice Chalmers in America. However, they had some manufacturing facilities in the UK. Very wispy tractors are these ones, and some of the the seat got moved forwards as the years went on, but the driver used to sit all the way to the back, which did pose a problem when you were emerging out of fields where there was hedges, because a lot of them had an impact with cars that were coming along, and they ended up snapping too because very, very, very wispy design. I love the Alice Chalmers, so much so that my daughter's middle name is indeed Alice, a tractor manufacturer very close to my heart. However, their demise was that they just didn't move with the times quick enough compared to some of the other tractors. Back in the 1950s, they were making a little grey Ferguson with the linkage on the back, electric start. Alice Chalmers were still making tractors that you had to swing with a handle and you had to use a horse-drawn implement with. So they struggled on until, what year is this one? 1962. It wasn't so long after this one was made that they eventually had to throw the towel in. Great to see this Alice Chalmers here, especially in the arena. And last but certainly not least, we've got the little grey Fergie. We've got our motorbikes entering the arena right now. And I believe it's the South Yorkshire Sidecar Club. They come in force. They're just coming over the hill now. What a sight that is, look. Like a serpent over the top of the hill as they enter the arena. We're going to get a fantastic array of motorbikes here today. I used to say that a good 80% of motorbikes coming into the arena built right here in the UK, mainly in the Midlands. However, as the years have gone on, we've been doing this since 2009, as the years have gone on, the foreign bikes are becoming more and more prevalent, and that's because the foreign bikes are becoming older and qualify to come into the arenas. And it was the Japanese that put pain and signalled the death knell for motorbike manufacturing in the UK. Same with tractors, same with pretty much everything. And you could fetch in a little Honda 50 for half the money as what one could be produced in the UK. They were built other side of the world, shipped across and sold for half the money as what we could build one right here in the UK and literally take it a couple 100 miles up the road for sale. So we've got everything here. I'm just seeing, I think we've got a 100-year-old bike, if it's come in. Has it come in yet? Certainly had it yesterday. I don't think he fetched it in. Oh, that's a shame. So we did have some really old bikes yesterday, right up to some relatively modern ones as well. We've got the full range. But what we do have is one of the most famous motorbike and sidecars in existence in the arena right now. Can you tell which one it is? Now it's the one with the dog as a passenger and the lady in the sidecar. Just going past the commentary box right now. Any ideas where you might recognise it from? Just going past me right now, this black one. Certainly the most famous motorbike and sidecar in the UK, possibly the world. And it's got quite a local connection as well. Give you a few more minutes to have a guess. The gentleman riding the bike and the lady in the sidecar, it's their very, very last show. They've been showing for many, many years, and they decided to hang up the keys to the show world, and today is the last day that they're going to be showing. That motorbike's been on the TV. I'm going to give you another clue. Home Firth. it yet. Wallace and Gromit? No, that's not right. It was Wally and Nora Batty's bike from Last of the Summer Wine. So we have got the South Yorkshire Sidecar Club. Looking like number 12 coming in first, am I right? Yep. This is Stephen Weaver with his Borough Agricultural Traction Engine built in 2019, known as Nick Lear. And he's come all the way from Mansfield Woodhouse in Nottinghamshire. Is that number 5? We've got number 40, Mr. Parkinson, with his Toro SCC 4-inch, built in 2012, known as Lady Jennifer. And he's come from Fish Lake, Doncaster. Got a 4-inch Borough just going past us now, not quite sure on the number of this one. 4-inch Sentinel, just going past the commentary box right now. Steve Wagger in fantastic order there. Going past, lovely smooth order. Next up, got number 4. Run by Keith and Michelle Shaw. They come from Wilkinson. They see the cylinder agricultural engine, built in 2007. Known as Toro. We've got Daniel Newton, come from Blythe, with the Industrial Next we've got number 8, Bob House, and he's got a Camic 4-inch steam, built in 2023. Known as Josie, and weighs it at 390 kilos. Next up we've got Richard Smith with his Novologia modern steam wagon, 4.5-inch scale on Coral, runs by the tanker with giant dyno drag trailer. Built in 1997, that's come from Crofton in Wind. Next up, got number 2. That is a 4-inch miniature tractor engine GTC, built in 2003. Exhibited by Curtin Baldwin on regular installation. Twin Crest compound road loco, so it's 2022, and it's known as Discovery. We've got Peter Hurst from a fairly local lab, Renaissance in Sheffield, with his engine, a Savage, known as Little Samson, built in 2021, known as Rocket. That we have here a 2-inch steamroller, well, not as Little John, and that's owned by Michael First, from just down the road, Foxbridge. Next we've got a half size. Now unfortunately we don't have any space for that half size.
Burrell gold medal half size, that's 6-inch scale. Where do you travel from? From just down the road in Rotherham. Next up we've got the 2-inch Burrell miniature steam engine. Got the run tray there, a fantastic array. Check this one out, it's going back to the arena right now, got the baler and the certificate on the back as well. 25 extra. Wilson from Grenaside in Sheffield with his 4-inch road loco built in the year 2000 with panic weighing in 1121. So what we got here, Molly Ducker, 4-inch scale A9 Fowler. This tractor was built predominantly by the current owner over a period of years with only outside work being boilerplate bending and welding that are restricted in the gear plant, which were machined by the current owner. So it was a 7A9 class engine, single and compound cylinder were built during the 2-year period after World War I, ending with a great majority built for haulage and agricultural uses. However, a number of these were converted to showman users during the year. Number 24, so back to commentary box. Mr. Riley, Mr. Henry, Snowcock Trent, McLaren Road Locomotive 4-inch scale. Number 15, Mark Walton with Fowler 3-inch scale, A7, built in 2019. Notice further. So next up we've got Graham Pierce, they come from Winton. Agricultural building 1999. Number 33, just going to pass the commentary box right now. Burrell 4-inch roller, known as CDB or CB, built in 2020. It weighs in 600 kilos. Large and big. 26 vehicles from Macclesfield in Sheffield with a 3-inch Marshall model steam engine, agricultural engine built in 2008. Known as Sydney. Number 32, just going to pass the commentary box right now. Owned by Ricky and Kirsty Hodgson, or Hoyland. Miniature steam, 3-inch Altkin traction engine, built in 2013, known as Wolf. So we've got John Bruce with his miniature steam Foster 4-inch scale traction engine, built in 1999. So when we get to part 2, we're going to open the arena up so that you can see what... Oh, here we've got a late comer. My 40-year-old eye is doing not too bad. I think that's at 41. So the 18-year-old got the side of it, he can't see that. This is John Cook, I believe he's in the arena right now, with his 4-inch scale traction engine, built in 1990. Known as Gordon, and the engine was built by the driver's father, and the driver's doing water restoration work to standard today. It was refueled in 2007, and this engine is 36 years old this year. Once it's already packed up, we will be opening the arena. Please bear with us while we're getting everyone packed up. There is a forest into the arena. It wouldn't have that comfortable. There's one up by the top high screen, but it's only a little tiny one, is that? There's a large one up by the top, and a large one down by the carousel. So once these vehicles are stationary, please feel free to come to the arena. However, give us a couple of minutes. We're going to open the arena up for about 15 minutes. You can take any photographs, talk to our drivers about their engines. Please be aware, these are on fire, so they are hot. And they've got some moving parts as well. Feel free to have a look. Their face full of that coal smoke. But don't stick the pink bits in where they shouldn't be. It could result in injury.
they've got their fingers on the whistle chain. Are we ready to have a whistle off? After 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, give it some. Now, as a great man once said, did you like that?
If you wet your whistle and you want to buy one of these, you can build one. There's also a company called Berrybrook Steam, and they sell these. They trade in them. Steam engine dealership. Pop it into the internet, Berrybrook Steam. If you'd like to own a miniature steam engine. I know we're having fairly mixed weather, but on the whole it's pretty warm, isn't it? Please maintain hydration throughout the course of the day. Please drink lots of water. So we're not trying to sell water. By any stretch, I know our outlets do sell water. However, there are some taps along the top of the showground, all the way along to the top of the showground, top of the hill there. They're along the upper edges of the showground. Please feel free to get as much water as you want, drink as much water as you can. Don't want anybody keeling over. Please remain hydrated throughout the course of the day. Get that sun cream on as well. Don't want any stinging forehead.
welcome to Sheffield. I believe this is our 52nd show. Right here on Northampton. We're trapped plenty of live feed. I've got quite a few. How many have we got booked in, Derek? 32 Steve live steam engines, which is pretty impressive for a local show of this size. And we're hoping that the majority of them are going to come into the arena. We're going to fill this place with steam engines, and they're coming in about 5 minutes' time. Now this is a rare opportunity where I get buzz off, I get myself a little bit of a glass of beer, have a quick wee, walk around some of the stalls. So I'm going to hand you over very soon to Derek Rayner. Now Derek Rayner is a very clever fella. He knows everything to do with steam engines. He's going to take you into the world of large steam. He's even got his own steam engine here, which I think is going to be the first into arena. And he's technical editor for Old Glory magazine. You know what that is? It's a magazine that focuses on everything steam power. And he answers any questions that any readers may have about their steam engines, or buying it, if they want to buy one with their engine. Anything technical, he's your man. So we're going to get the stewards in place there. Get live steam in the arena. Hopefully within the next few minutes. Now the showground here doesn't just start at the top of the hill, it goes over the hill, and there is our stationary line.
As I just told you, my name is Derek Rayner, and the steamroller engine in the arena is mine. It's been driven by my son, Dean, who's grown up with it. I've been an owner of that particular machine since 1964. That's a long time. Manufactured by Aveling and Porter, it says Rochester on it, but for those in the know, and those from Kent, they know it was not built in Rochester. It was built in Stroud, on the other side of the River Medway. They tend to get a bit uptight about things down in Kent, but Aveling and Porter, when they started building that type of machine in 1865, they decided that they would use the word Rochester because it was much better known than Stroud. Rochester, of course, has a cathedral, it has a castle. Not only that, it was well known in literary terms because of a gentleman by the name of Charles Dickens that most people in England know about. So it was a steamroller, and the Aveling and Porter started building steamrollers, as I say, in 1865. They built over 12,000 of them, exported worldwide, and they were actually the manufacturers of more steamrollers in the UK than all the other steamroller manufacturers in the UK put together. The roller is followed by a burrow, traction engine, in Showman's Guide. It was built by the firm of Charles Burrow at Thetford in Norfolk, and it started life as a steamroller, as quite a number of other similar machines did in days gone by. It was used for road making, and it's currently owned by Isaac Ellison. The firm who used it for road making was Isaac Bowles in Lancashire, North Glasgow. They owned quite a large number of steam engines over a long period of time, and they are very well known in the rallying circuit today because quite a number of them have existed over a long period. Followed then by a Fowler, made by John Fowler, Steam Plough Works in Leeds. It's an agricultural engine, originally used in Dorset, hence TA registration. It's owned by Peter Green, built in 1899. Not quite the oldest of steam engines here on the rally field today, but getting on to that situation. An agricultural engine, and therefore was used in days gone by for powering such things as saw benches or threshing machines using that big flywheel which is turning feed on the side of the machine. Another engine in the ownership of the Green family is the Oregon Garrett Showman's engine, Showman's traction tractor, actually smaller version of the big traction engine, but with a dynamo on the front, similar to the barrel jumping around the arena at the bottom. The dynamo on the front, of course, was driven again by the flywheel, belt drive, and the dynamo pulley, and that created power. Power was used for powering the ride spin on the showman. That one says on the side of it, on the canopy side, tread carries electric new dodgers. We all know what dodgers are. But also on the fairground, of course, there were things like the calipers, the roundabouts, and other similar sort of attractions which brought a lot of people who probably had never seen electric line before in the early 1900s to fairs that were prevalent all over the country. We have a set of calipers here down by the right hand side of the goal at the commentary position. Certainly worth a ride around because steam power is key, of course. Another steamroller comes along, which again is an enabling product, built-in screw in the tent. This one's called English Rose. My own steamroller is called White Rose. There is a link, amazingly enough, between the two, in that my son-in-law's steamroller is called English Rose. He's Ian Caulfield, and that particular machine is the oldest steam engine on the rally field today. That was built by Amelings in 1884. Number 2031. It's had a long checkered history, and it worked for quite a long time up in Scotland on road construction. It was applied new in 1884 to Acton Borough Council, which of course is a suburb of London now. And Ian has done a lot of research in connection with that machine. He's found an engraving in an old newspaper which shows the steamroller at Acton with a small awning, and he's had recreated something that the roller has not had for quite a long time, and that's a small awning which is travelling onto at the moment. Nice looking machine is that. It features something which is not on other steam engines here today, and that's what we call in the trade bobbin steering. Most of the steam engines here today have a chain steering arrangement, obviously with a steering wheel, but Ian's roller has a slightly different precursor to the type that you see on most engines. The bobbin steering is actually on the outside of the firebox. Following on from the 1884 very old Amelings roller is a ploughing engine, a Fowler ploughing engine. Fowler's steam plough works in Leeds turned out many ploughing engines. They were situated one on one side of the field, one on the other side of the field, and they pulled the balance plough in between them. When they got to the other side, a series of whistles about 200-300 yards apart, they were able to communicate and talk to the other driver on the other engine on the other side of the field, and they reversed the situation, moved the engines along slightly, and then drew the plough back to the original engine and continued like that until they finished ploughing the full field, almost at the field. Fowler's exported many of these engines to the likes of Egypt and to America, where they were used for cotton production and also for growing sugarcane. Behind the steamroller, behind the traction engine, ploughing engine is another Fowler product. This started life as a tar spraying roller. In other words, it carried tar in the tank underneath the boiler, which was heated by steam from the boiler, of course, and it was owned and operated by the Midlothian Council in Scotland. Owned nowadays by Russ Inman, who's driving the machine. I forgot to mention the Fowler ploughing engine in front. That's owned by the Clear family from Turtle Entry, not very far away from here, and driven by the gentleman that we all know on the rally field as Sparky. He's been associated with the Clear family for quite a long time, and he also has custodianship, or the Clear family have custodianship of another Fowler ploughing engine, so they have been able to do ploughing demonstrations using both of the ploughing engines at rallies and other locations up and down the country. Behind the Fowler tar spraying roller is another steam roller. This one painted green, as most Avelings were, belonging originally to Kidderminster Council. The Kidderminster Council roller is now owned by a gentleman from the locality, Adam Horrocks, who's taken custodianship of the roller. I hasten to say owner, because we are really only custodians of these machines. Adam has only owned it for probably 2 or 3, 4 weeks or so, and he's getting used to it. It's a piston valve machine. Piston valves are, from an Avelink point of view, something that they developed because it's easier and cheaper to manufacture valves on a lathe than it is to actually bend them in on a surface block in the old traditional manner. And Avelink manufactured a very large number of piston valve rollers over a long period. The magnificent engine pouring that Avelink roller with the wash chart going on behind is another Fowler from the well-known Steam Plough Works in Leeds, at Leafley Road. There are blue plaques to commemorate where Fowler's work was, and also another 4 blue plaques in Leeds on other road steam engine manufacturers that were built in Leeds. The Fowler crane engine, with that big crane out in front, is a very unusual machine, of course. It was used in days gone by for lifting things and also hauling things. Fowler built quite a number of road locomotives of that time, but this is the biggest and heaviest one that they actually manufactured. They engaged the services of a local crane manufacturer by the name of Thomas Smith of Rodley in Leeds to manufacture the crane attachment to the machine, and it was actually the largest road steam engine that Fowler's built. Fowlers are also renowned for manufacturing Chalmers engines. Ploughing engines we've already mentioned, and also steam tractors. They also made steam wagons as well, right away across the spectrum of road steam engines. Another Fowler is following the crane engine. This one belonging to the Saunders family. They bought it last year, and over the last 12 months they've actually been able to spruce it up considerably, and it now looks in pristine condition to what it looked 12 months ago. It started life as a steam roller, and now it's in the traction engine form. Belongs to the Saunders family, and it's a pleasure to see it here today. The original owner of the machine is painted on the side of the awning. Below The low people were forest contractors. And it's following on by another steam tractor, this one owned by the Bloom family from North Lincolnshire, somewhere around the Retford area. It's a Garrett built in Leiston in Kent, Leiston in Suffolk. The Garrett tractor is a 4CD tractor built in 1918 and it registered in the county of its birth, as it were, in Suffolk. BJ is also where quite a large number of Garrett products were registered, very easily identified by that BJ registration. So another Garrett tractor following on. This one has dynamo on the front, therefore it's a Chalmers tractor, owned by the Dunford family, driven here by John Dunford, built 1915, and it was used, as it says on the canopy side, by George Rogers and Sons for hauling their flying airships around. You've got to bear in mind, during the First World War, of course, there were a large number of fairs in and around the country which were, the machines of which were taken around by the steam traction engines, Chalmers engines and road locomotives. In addition to the likes of Leiston, where Garrett manufactured, Lincoln is another place where a large number of engines were made. There were several firms in Leiston, Lincoln, manufactured engines. One of them being the one following on, which is called Brick. Rig is owned by the Bosworth family in the Derbyshire area. It was manufactured by Foster's in Lincoln. Foster's well known for certain other things associated with the First World War, because they were the manufacturer of the first tanks, which changed the emphasis on who was winning, if that's the right word, or in the World War I situation in the trenches. We're then followed by a small roller owned by Bob's old father and daughter. It was owned in use by W.W. Buncombe at High Bridge and Burnham-on-Sea in Somerset. Buncombe had a large number of steam rollers all over the country. They were major contractors in that respect. And another steam roller coming along behind. It says on it, P.L. Turner and Daughters, Sheffield. That's Phil Turner. It says on the rolls and on the piston chest, it says A. Henninger and Company Darmstadt. In other words, looking at it, it doesn't appear to be a German-built machine, but in actual fact it was built in Leiston in Suffolk by Garrett and engineered for their customers who were Henninger in Germany. That mirrored also the situation with regard to engines and rollers built by Burroughs in Sheffield, and also another manufacturer in the UK who also supplied rollers to Germany to another company. David Hare from Bradford is, I think it's the right word, is airing a porter roller. It belonged originally to Northampton Rural District Council. Built in 1916 and later in 1931 or thereabouts, when the government reorganised council ownership of roads and maintenance thereof. It was owned by the North Riding County Council, registered in North Riding, VN. It should have been registered AJ, but in actual fact that didn't happen because it was Oxford Road at the time when registrations became applicable to road steam engines in 1921. Another Lincoln built product is following on from that. A Ruston traction engine, Ruston and Hornsby traction engine, built in Lincoln. It was built actually in 1907, owned by David Palmer. Ruston Proctor became Ruston and Hornsby in 1918, so it was well before that particular amalgamation took place. Followed along by another power steamroller, system supplied to the West Riding County Council in the 1920s, owned by the Selby family from just south of the River Humber. Another Burrow, following on the Little Fowler, owned by Malcolm Woodbine. Originally an Isaac Ball machine from Wall near Blackpool in Lancashire, hence its TB registration. Malcolm Woodbine's owned this for quite a long time now. It was built in 1904 by Burroughs at Thetford. Another steamroller following on is a Lincolnshire built product made by Marshalls of Gainsborough. This one was supplied to Heggie and Robertson of Dunfermline in Scotland. And it was one of quite a large number of steamrollers owned by Heggie and Robertson in Scotland. They had somewhere in the order of 20 steamrollers over a long period of time. It was built in 1921. It's one of only two that remained from that particular firm. It's called Aries, owned by Neil Smith from quite close to Misterton near Gainsborough. He's driven it here a distance of some 35 miles on the road over a relatively long period of a day. Following on from another Evening with a rather strange face in the front. Those of you who are knowledgeable about Thomas the Tank Engine will know that it was at some time George from Thomas the Tank Engine, a grumpy steamroller. Enabling 8211. And we have another Evening following on, owned by Andrew Bain, English Princess. This has been out of use for quite a long time in the previous ownership, and it's been resurrected and brought back into use by Andrew Bain and family. It was owned previously by a gentleman by the name of Woodward, who had it under wraps for quite a long time. We now have Camp Park, partnered by Charlotte, with another Evening and Porter steamroller. This has been out of rallying for some 14 years in Cheshire. It has a name. I understand it's William J. I don't know the significance of that particularly, but it actually was supplied in 1916 to the War Department. Understood it was used by the War Department for rolling airfields. Now you've got to bear in mind, of course, that the Royal, whatever it was called, Royal Air Force, as it were, was formed around that 1914 time, 1914, 1916 time, so it would have been one of the steamrollers used very early on for manufacturing, if that's the right word, airfields for the very early aeroplanes that were used in the First World War to run out of. The small tractor is called Abigail. Abigail is owned by someone, amazingly enough, by the name of Abigail. It's a resurrection of a 1904, a very, very early Foster built in Lincoln, Wellington tractor. Fosters actually took up sometime later their trademark as being a tank because they built the first tanks. Water tanks in Mesopotamia is what comes to mind, of course, in that respect, to confuse the Germans. And it was built, as I say, in 1904 as a result of the legislation that was passed to allow small steam engines to get on the road. Used initially for market gardeners, but taking produce to market and stuff like that. The engine which has just passed by the commentary point is a Fowler, another Fowler from Leeds. That was exported to Australia. It was brought back to the UK somewhat a while ago now, owned by Andrew Biglins, who lives in the Sheffield area. Another Evening in the ownership of Laurie Fletcher, 8778, with an E registration, indicates to me that it was used in Staffordshire. Got a Skyfire on the back on the right hand side. Skyfires were used in association with steamrollers, of course, for digging up the road before the steamroller rolled it. Another Fowler passing the commentary point at the moment, owned by the Pantry brothers. It's a power engine with the boiler, with the winding drum underneath the boiler. They have another internet, as it were, because welding engines usually went around in pairs. The other machine that they have at the moment is under restoration, so they can't show them both at the same time because it's in bits. That they brought along this particular machine, built in 1919, to show us here on the field today. Not quite the end yet, but we have another Fowler Road locomotive. This one owned at one time by John William Cuthbert, who lives just outside Sheffield. 14100 is on the works list. This horse it's currently named Empress, but originally it was named Empress of Ireland. Sometime after it was new, there was a major shipping disaster at which quite a large number of passengers on the boat perished, and it was felt appropriate at that time to recognise the situation, as a result of which Empress of Ireland became Empress. They reduced the length of the workplace. We now have another Fowler road locomotive, owned by John Summersdale. It's missing something, John. Amazingly enough, only a week ago, this particular engine was minus. Really announced that the work has been.
I'm back online, sorry, I obviously had my switch in the wrong direction. Confusing. However, we now come to the award ceremony. We have two prizes, as I said previously. There's Best in Show and there's Best Steamroller. Now, we have decided, the committee have decided, that the Best in Show on this occasion will be split between two exhibits. Firstly, and in no particular order, firstly is Paul Scoley's Duke of York, which is the Fowler ploughing engine, Fowler crane engine, immediately in front of the commentary point. And secondly, Best in Show 1. On the account of 1, please will you blow your whistles and remember all our friends and colleagues who are no longer with us. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Thank you very much indeed, engine men, engine girls, and other people associated with the engines, as it were. If you'd now like to start the clearing of the arena, please lead off.
We normally run it on the anyway. Wheating, is that
We've got our array of commercial vehicles just coming into the arena. Headed up with that beautiful scammo. Just have a look at that as it goes around the arena. That's been passed over. That vehicle there passed up alongside it. When it's in its
generator.
and what a beautiful thing it is to have got this generator instead of that big dynamo that can be connected up to the power. That would not be easy to hide it. We go stop that. We're throwing it in the crowd. I want you to throw it in the crowd and we didn't stay inside it. With the engine running, we've got the dynamo in here, generating electric to power that ride. If it's a fairly big ride, it's going to be steam driven. Next we've got the ERS, a really strange configuration that one. None of the Chinese six wheel. I've got two steering axles on the front and one drive axle on the back. Don't see them very often at all in that configuration. And it started off as I think a four-wheeler, and it's going to be a Chinese six. Got a military six-wheel. Just going past the Euro store right now. A beautiful Atkinson just going past the Euro. The All-American Studebaker. That iconic Ford Transit. A lot of those used by the police back in the day. And I'm fairly sure that one
sure. A big old pension, recovery truck in Lambert livery. Just coming over the hill, we've clearly got a lot of in the arena. Got a beautiful coach about to enter. And we've got a fire engine coming in. We set off on a multi-drop pipework in the midst of that hill. It's in front of it, the RS. So behind the steering wheel, the bump to the brake, part microwave. That means that living out in that vehicle, or sometimes up to a week. And if you're a truck driver, I just look at this coach coming in the arena right now. Check out the lines on that. A thing of beauty. Gorgeous Leyland train coach. 6-cylinder diesel engine in there. That's going to go very fast. Recently retired Volvo fire engine. That vehicle, a relatively famous role in the fire engine was the Glastonbury Festival. Little Leyland Comet just goes past the commentary box. Nice demanding compact commercial. As it says on the door, come from down the Dale. A tipper body on the back. All of that Albion. Once again, tipper. Root of the machine that. Let's have a look under there and get a look just for the first rear axle. Got two prop shafts spinning around. Find out a bit more about that. Using some prop shafts going into the rear axle. That's got two. The rear shift, and it's not known as the rear shift because it's got a different story about it altogether. So this vehicle would normally carry or tow the amusement into place. Once it's there, drops the PTO in, which stands for power takeoff, and it can spin that generator up on the back. By the sounds of it, that's just what it's doing. So if you like to look in the box, at the back, there'll probably be some horn session. So if you can hear us, and it's on the outskirts as well, you can get a little bit like, oh, I've got it on your asses. We're going to go after 5. Okay? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I've got to let them have a little bit of a very good
equivalent of a whistle off, have a wheel, which is a little steam with the big steam, and let the wagon blow them off as well. They're going to be making their way back to their station position and start firing out or start with approach to lead the way out of the arena. Once again, a big thank you for all these vehicles, especially open up and up. And thirdly, these massive diesel engines around the arena that cost quite a bit of money. And they come from nothing. So it's great to see them here in the arena. So big thank you to all our professionals in the arena. Give them a quick round of applause. They're not only here, especially around the arena as well. Thank you ever so much. So very soon we're going to be welcoming the classic cars to the arena. There it is, up at the top, the recovery truck, two-stroke diesel V8. I used to live on not far from these, two that went up and over Penny, and the lad just down the road we had one of those. I lived quite a way away from it, however, I knew when you were going to the side of the Penny, sounded brilliant. You went the whole valley here. Look, we've got the classic cars waiting in the wings. We're going to be at the foot of the steam track on the 18th of February. That's really exciting. Not quite big as this show. It's still a grand day. If that does happen, give us a shout. We're going to fetch a wheel of our own to fetch it back to the commentary box. There will be the pitter patter of tiny feet before we know it. So here we've got our first few vehicles coming into the arena. Take yourselves round a few times. The iconic British engineer. Talking of iconic, the MX-5. Very, very affordable sports cars, those. Then we've got the Harlequin Polo, quite a rare car. And it's brilliant, of extremely mini. I got them the wrong way around the other day. One's slightly shorter than the other. Is that the long one or the short one? That's the long one. So the oldest one was very, very short, and the lad that owned it, he built that and then realised he built it a bit too short. So he had another go, and he built the other one a little bit longer. And when you're driving those minis, it's not a bad thing.
This mini coffee.
Morris is going fast. In that gorgeous heavy, the lines on that car. Fantastic styling. I can't help people. Now, yes, I hope difficult to believe that there is a rust-free Morris Marina. Yeah, there's a little Opti Metro. Will the Metro? I have no idea what this is. On free, we'll find out a bit more about that later. Look at those beautiful fins on the back there. And it's very prestigious. Bank managers, Rover, wafting past me right now. Bit of a plaything, the old Escort, Cabriolet. XR38, 3i, sorry, and gone from pretty fancy cars, something really basic, We have to follow this round with a dustpan and a brush. Now here comes the 414 engine. Effectively known as a Coke bottle. You lay the plastic Coke bottle down on the side. Style. 1600. Well, we bought that to start with on the lane, we bought that to start with 1600. I can see quite a few of the options boxes there. The little tiny herald. Once again, car of the people. Beautiful little car, very easy to work on. And if we ask it nicely a little bit later on, it might look the bonnet for us, because they've got a pretty funky bonnet. Look at that. I think I can remember it's got like 8 very easy to work on. I'm not using it all yesterday. Surprisingly easy to work on. With the Cobra. And then the action side all off it. So, oh, we've got Nobby as well. So let's you can hear us down in the book here. Let's get you parked up. We're going to end up with a traffic jam here. Oh, the listeners is great when you do that. Follow on, follow on. The driver said, "What's up, free?" I think it's the road 66 and Port Cabriolet SR38 3R. That beautiful music is about to pull up. We're parked up and outside the tap was over. So, on vehicles here. Thankfully, right up to the top corner, we're right down to the little original Ford lot that's just going to a halt now. Donny car. This an old Fiat. Somewhere on the river, there's my one house and my ticket here, and just now we go out there, you've got everything walking in, you've got a bottle opener, you've got whistles, door bags.